The clock struck midnight, November 14, 2025. The start of an engagement that would make military news headlines. For the Russian army troops on guard duty, the Novorossiysk Gulf was quiet, an ordinary night. But the peace was about to shatter. Incoming Neptune missiles. Payloads measured in hundreds of kilograms of high explosives. These were not ordinary weapons. Land-based, with a reach of 1,000 kilometers. This advanced defense technology represented a new threat. For the Ukrainian military, the mission was a long shot. The target, Novorossiysk, the primary port for the Russian Navy, second only to Moscow in its defenses. Larger than St. Petersburg, larger than Murmansk, a fortress of multi-layered defense systems, a challenge even elite Marines would hesitate to assault. 12 S-400 launchers formed an invisible dome over the port, a steel sky designed by their Air Force to be impenetrable. Breaching it was considered impossible, even for the most modern weapons. On the maps of Russian generals, Novorossiysk was a fortress, a red box, untouchable. That night, complacency would extract a heavy price from Putin's army. The Neptune missile represented a critical vulnerability in their warfare doctrine. The one flaw in the S-400's vaunted defense. Deep within Ukraine, a camouflage truck lay in wait, silent. Concealed by pine forest, the Odessa region, 600 kilometers from the target. Inside the cab, a non-commissioned officer's hand hovered over a red-covered switch. A breath, a moment of stillness, then a decisive flick. The cover snapped open. Behind the truck, 4 launch canisters tilted skyward. Giant tubes rising into firing position, aimed at the night sky. Each tube held a weapon the Kremlin dreaded. A new chapter in this brutal war. The Long Neptune, a land attack cruise missile. Beside the tail, an engineer scanned the final data on his laptop. Wind speed, air temperature, flight path, waypoints. A sea-skimming trajectory across the Black Sea. The screen glowed. A target package for 4 missiles blinked. The first 2, assigned to the S-400 clusters, the Kuban regiment's defense systems. The final 2, pump stations and the tank farm, the Sheskari's terminal. The air was thick with tension. Every soldier knew the stakes. A successful strike would shatter more than just a missile battery. Our war analysis indicates it would bury the myth of the S-400, the legend of an untouchable port. The commander's voice cut through the silence. Ready. The countdown started. 10, 5, 3. A deep roar tore through the night. The first canister's cap blasted away. A shadow erupted. The Long Neptune cleared the tube, its booster igniting in a shower of sparks, climbing vertically. Seconds later, it pitched over, nose pointed toward the Black Sea, descending fast. Then the second launched, the third, and the fourth. The Long Neptunes raced on, subsonic, 900 kilometers per hour, skimming meters above the waves. From a distance, a fleeting streak against the black. But hundreds of kilometers away, a global conflict was about to escalate. The fate of a port, of an entire air defense battalion, was in flight. Then, inside the command shelter of the Kuban anti-aircraft regiment, on the hills overlooking Novorossiysk, the radar screen exploded, a sea of red. Moments before, calm, civilian air traffic, routine tracks over the Black Sea, a standard military update. Then chaos. A flood of contacts, drones, decoys, missiles bloomed on the screen. The alarm klaxon screamed, multiple altitudes, multiple vectors, a swarm converging on Novorossiysk. An unprecedented act of modern warfare. Drones. On the scope, the Neptune missiles were hugging the waves, mere meters above the sea, skimming the very surface of the water. This flight path was designed to slip under the radar horizon. The S-400's theoretical 400-kilometer range became just that, theoretical. A victim of the Earth's curvature. No amount of power can defeat physics. This was a battle of geometry, and Ukraine was turning it into a weapon of modern warfare. After clearing the launch rail, the Neptune climbed to a safe altitude. Its course locked by INS, GNS, its mission set. Then, Nearing the Black Sea, it dove hard. Reducing its radar signature, it entered a blind corridor, invisible to the vaunted S-400 defense systems. At the same time, FPV-1 and FPV-2 kamikaze drones executed a suicide run directly into the S-400's radar lobes. The operators were forced to track faint, ghost-like echoes. On the screens of the Russian troops, a massive swarm target appeared out of the static. Was it a jammer, a cruise missile, simple quadcopters? The console was a blizzard of conflicting data. The soldiers inside did what they were trained to do. They fired on the largest signature. It was the single deadliest tactical mistake of the engagement. They were shooting at phantoms, decoys designed to overwhelm their military hardware. And behind this electronic smokescreen, Neptune cruise missiles, each armed with hundreds of kilograms of high explosives, were poised to turn this sector into a hellscape. From deep behind the lines, they carved a wide arc at varying altitudes, their vectors converging on the Krasnodar region and Novorossiysk. The drones infiltrated low, the tip of the spear. They jinked, changing altitude, breaking radar locks, a deliberate challenge to the algorithms governing Russia's air defense network. This was the new face of global conflict. Target packages were distributed, some drones vectored toward coastal radar installations, others inland command centers. A third group descended on the air defense batteries protecting the port. The NEBO-M and 96 N6 radar screens flashed into chaos. Hundreds of small targets flooded the displays. The system was saturated. Threat classification software, unable to cope, elevated the inexpensive drones to high-priority targets. The first Pantsir batteries opened fire, their cannons ripping into the night. Then, the S-300 and S-400 batteries unleashed their expensive interceptor weapons. White streaks of fire tore through the darkness. Bright explosions blossomed in the sky, their light reflecting off the cameras of Navy sailors in the port below. It looked like an air defense demonstration. That detached, almost mocking, very nice comment was a real-time war analysis. What they were witnessing was a sophisticated defense system consuming itself. The Russian operators believed they were winning the war. They watched the kill count rise on the console, a rush of false victory. The critical error had already been made. All of their attention, every sensor, was focused on the sky. The digital clutter of the swarm had blinded them to the real threat. Because just behind the drones, over the Black Sea, 4 Neptune missiles were screaming across the wavetops, entering from the dead band at the lowest edge of the radar's reach. The sea-skimming profile neutered the powerful S-400 radars. These were Air Force systems, designed to hunt targets at high and medium altitudes, hundreds of kilometers away. A cruise missile flying just meters above the water, concealed by the horizon itself, would be nearly invisible. It would appear only in the final moments. A faint trace on a screen, if the operator's eyes weren't fixed elsewhere. The first 2 Neptunes crossed the coastline and began a slight climb. They blended with the silhouette of the hills. Their IIR seekers came alive. The thermal scene ignited with hotspots. On a hill, the giant spinning antenna of a 96 N6 radar glowed like an orange beacon. Beside it, the rectangular panel of a 92 N6 engagement radar stood out against a slope. 4 S-400 launchers, parked side by side, their cylindrical tubes still warm, created a clear thermal signature against the cold night. The Neptune software cross-referenced the image with its memory banks. A perfect match. Radar, fire control, launcher. A single, high-value target package. The first missile made a final, slight nose correction, settling its aim on one of the S-400 positions. It came in low, executed a terminal pop-up, and plunged directly into the center of the radar and launcher cluster. For a single heartbeat, everything froze. A colossal explosion ripped the sky apart over Novorossiysk. The Long Neptune warhead had arrived, detonating beside the parked launchers. Impact. The spinning dish of the 96 N6 radar was torn from its moorings, its fragments scything through the surrounding defense technology. Milliseconds later, a secondary blast. The S-400 missiles inside the launchers began to cook off, one after another. A catastrophic chain reaction. 4 columns of fire clawed at the night sky. Cameras from the port captured the initial flash, a silent testament to this new phase of the war. A giant fireball swelled with the second, third, and fourth explosions. As it burned, the second Long Neptune was already seconds from its own target cluster. Telemetry confirmed the objective. Another group of launchers clustered near the 92N6 engagement radar, a key node in their advanced defense systems. The missile struck with surgical precision. The scene repeated itself. First, the Neptune's kinetic strike, then the generators erupting in flame. Finally, a salvo of S-400 warheads arced into the sky, an uncontrolled, lethal fireworks display. By morning, satellite imagery provided a stark war analysis. The battle damage assessment was grim. At least 4 S-400 launchers gone. 2 96N6 early warning radars destroyed. 2 92N6 target acquisition radars completely neutralized. 8 launchers remained on the field, but they were now inert husks of steel, blind and deaf. Their capacity for modern warfare had been erased. The first 2 Long Neptunes had accomplished their mission. The shield over the Kuban regiment was shattered, and at that very moment, the other 2 Long Neptunes screamed in from the Black Sea, their deadly course set for Cheskouris. The sky was now theirs. The S-400s were a funeral pyre. Below, Panzer and short-range systems were still chasing ghosts, wasting their weapons on decoy drone swarms, their fire discipline broken. The third Long Neptune skimmed the waves, its profile low as it closed on Novorossiysk. This time, its IIR seeker ignored the hills, scanning the thermal hotspots of the coast instead. A new front in this global conflict was opening. In its infrared sight, the Cheskouris oil terminal's tank farm glowed huge, round circles of heat against the cold night. Adjacent rectangular buildings gave off a denser, sharper signature. The pumping stations. In the final second, the missile locked on. It pitched up, then plunged in a near-vertical dive. A searing white light bloomed at the heart of the terminal. The warhead detonated directly over the main manifold. The shockwave annihilated the pump system, the control room, and the power grid in a single, violent blow. Fire followed, racing through the pipelines, spreading through the veins of the port. The fourth Long Neptune was only seconds behind. Its mission? To render the tank farm inoperable. The missile seeker selected one of the full tanks, its IIR warhead locking onto the heat and shape of these modern weapons. The dive, the explosion, a colossal fireball climbed into the sky. Turkish Navy sailors in the port would later describe the scene as hell on earth. Very beautiful. An astonished voice was heard on a recording. A chilling summary of the moment 4 Ukrainian missiles delivered a stunning military update. Fired from 1,000 kilometers away, they brought one of Russia's most vital ports to its knees. 2 Long Neptunes incinerated the S-400 battalion protecting the army's flank. The other 2 plunged like daggers into the pump station and tank area of Cheskouris, a brutal demonstration of modern warfare tactics. The port, once shielded by its formidable S-400 defense, was now utterly exposed to Ukrainian UAV swarms and follow-on attacks. A new wave of drones descended from multiple vectors. Some conducted battle damage assessment on the stricken pump area. Others hunted for intact targets, their sensors sweeping the container yard and the port's internal infrastructure for any sign of life. Across the bay, the darkness was punctuated by a growing constellation of explosions. A UAV slammed into the roof of the Energy Control Center. The blast threw most of the terminal into emergency shutdown, but the core of the system was already compromised, and for the troops on the ground, the night was only beginning. The kill switch command was neutralized. Critical defense systems failed. In the tank yard, secondary explosions from damaged weapons ripped through the inferno. The massive tank stood like a wounded giant, bleeding fire from the initial strike. The blaze wasn't just spreading, it was consuming everything. The chaos cascaded into the container yard. A civilian ship was hit by falling drone debris. The shockwave tore across the water. 3 crewmen were reported injured. As images flooded social media, the global conflict had a new face. This was not a purely military engagement. The warfare had struck civilians. The concept of a safe rear front was obliterated. This attack hit the very heart of the nation's domestic front. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed 66 hostile drones were intercepted. A hollow claim, as these modern weapons pressed the attack. The undeniable fact remained. The main swarm had penetrated their defense. The official narrative of victory crumbled into a public fiasco. Governor Veniamin Kondratiev's reassurances were drowned out by the flames. His words of control meant nothing against this military update. Panic was spreading. He was forced to make the call. A city-wide state of emergency was declared. Independent sources confirmed the lockdown. Novorossiysk was sealed. The port, a strategic Navy asset, was completely shut down. Thank you for choosing us for your essential military news and war analysis.